At one point, I was working 3 jobs just to make ends meet. I also dropped out of college and actually had no idea what I was even going to do with my life. Fast forward just 2 years from that point, and I was a millionaire when I was 24. Now, I know what you're probably thinking, great, another guy on YouTube who's probably gonna be talking about crypto and cold showers, but this is not your average make money online brain rot that you'll probably see on TikTok. No, instead, I'm going to give you actual actionable advice and tips on how you can build skills that will create an income for you so you can eventually reach financial freedom. And the first skill is something that's counterintuitive and criminally under talked about, and that is the skill of mastering skills. Because most people try something new, they fail at it, they suck, and because they fail and suck at it at first, they just assume that they're not good at it and never can be good at it. And this is why they're stuck on the merry-go-round of failure. It was Jim Rohn that said, you can have anything that you want to have because you can simply be more than you currently are. And in business, there are many times you are going to need to learn and master brand new skills in order to increase your income. Having a strong grasp of how to improve your understanding and execution of certain tasks is going to serve you in every single step of your financial or entrepreneurial journey. So here are some ways to actually put that into action. And the first thing is to go into the deep end. Most people just dip their toe in the water. They just try it out a little bit for literally just a couple hours or a couple days, and then they quit and they say, nah, it's not for me. It's like when you pick up a guitar and you play a few notes and you're not really feeling it, and then that guitar does essentially nothing but collect dust for the next few years. Instead, you're gonna wanna take action and stick with it despite it feeling so clunky or just so wrong. I mean, just for a second, think about the last thing that you mastered, because you've already been developing this skill of learning more skills. It just depends on how proficient at it you currently are. It might have been a video game or an instrument or some sort of hobby, but long story short, you sucked at it at first. You weren't very good. You were looking up all these tutorials, you were trying it but failing, but then eventually you got better and better and better to the point where there are probably other people who would come to you for advice on that exact topic. So stick with it and just endure the sucking phase. Which brings us to point number 2, which is to allow yourself one binge day. Here's where most people get it wrong. A lot of people actually just start something new and they watch a 10-minute video and for some reason think that they're going to be the second coming of Elon Musk. Or on the other hand, they fall into the YouTube trap of just watching video after video after video from creator after creator after creator on the topic without actually getting anything done. And this is going to leave you with a whole bunch of tabs and a whole bunch of YouTube videos in your YouTube history, but not any actual skills that you can make money with. Instead, you want to pick one day, just one day, and binge all of the content that you want. And I call this the content buffet. On this day, you're going to watch content like you are binging for an exam. But here is the crucial part, is that you need to have written down a system to put these teachings into action. So get a notebook and write down all of the actionable lessons and steps, not just the theories or the frameworks. Write down what you need to actually do in order to start. Don't be that person who's just stuck researching while someone with half the knowledge but twice the action is absolutely killing the game and making money while you are locked up in your bedroom and still learning and watching more videos. When you learn but never actually implement, it's essentially like paying $40,000 to go to college just so that you can sit in on the classes. You're essentially turning education into the world's most expensive Netflix subscription. So don't misuse knowledge as entertainment, because most people are drowning in information but starving for actionable lessons. But the funny thing is, you'll learn so much more from doing than you will from just watching videos, which is exactly where the next point comes in, which is always keep a 1-to-1 watching to action ratio. This means for every hour of content that you watch, actually do the thing for that amount of hours. And I see this all the time, especially when people watch my free 4-hour copywriting course or my free 8-hour copywriting course. That means after you watch one of these courses, you should either be doing 4 hours of work or 8 hours of work, where instead people do a whole 8-hour copywriting course and then they watch the 4-hour copywriting course, then maybe a 2-hour outreach course, and so on and so forth and so on and so forth, and they take zero action. This is all just going to cause analysis paralysis, and it's going to lead to a cycle of you being ambitious but lazy. And I say this because I'm an offender as well. When I was learning copywriting and how to actually make money online, I was watching video after video after video, but never actually outreaching to real businesses because I was scared of of rejection. And then one day I realized I have like 50 pages of nothing but notes and notes and notes on copywriting, but zero skills to show for it. I was like the guy who was like reading about swimming and all the different types of strokes, but I never actually hopped in the pool to try. And then that very next day, I emailed my first handful of business owners trying to get them as my copywriting clients. Now, don't get me wrong, I failed spectacularly. This is not one of those overnight success stories, but I learned more doing just those couple of outreaches than I did ever watching video after video after video. For example, I've watched Hell's Kitchen tons and tons and tons of times, but that doesn't mean that I can cook like Gordon Ramsay. In fact, I'm probably the worst cook that I know. And this is because exposure to knowledge isn't actually learning. So make sure that for every hour of education, you spend an hour of implementation. And while that encompasses the first skill of actually learning skills, the second skill is communication. Because the greatest skill in the world is the ability to explain your skills to the world. What good is it being a 10 out of 10 at anything if you are a 2 out of 10 at conveying that skill to other people? Communication isn't just another skill, it's the one skill that makes all the rest actually matter. For example, when I'm creating YouTube videos, closing clients, writing copy, I'm using my skills of communication in literally all of those different endeavors. So if you want better communication skills as fast as possible, let me give you some action steps. And the first one is simple. Just start presenting more ideas. All right, let me share something embarrassing. The very first sales call I got on with one of my potential clients was so bad, I literally got laughed out of the Zoom room. So I had never been on a sales call before. So I thought that what I should do is just create this whole presentation on what I'm going to do to his sales page and how my writing is actually going to help him, how it's going to make him make all these more sales, when in reality, it was the worst possible thing I could do. It was so bad. And I was so nervous that I could literally see him snickering under his face like this. He was trying to hide it. At some points, he was so bored, he was just going through his phone and scrolling, and I felt like a complete idiot. But you know, the one lesson that I learned that day is that if I would have just gone on more sales calls, I would have done much better, because the first sales call is always going to be your worst sales call. So don't be like me. Don't be a complete bedroom goblin and think, oh man, I'm just going to sit at my laptop for the next 6 months and do nothing but whatever, start a business, write copy, make more money. Because what it does is it actually decreases your social skills and your communication skills over time. So instead, what you want to do is just talk to people more, get on calls with people, speak with more people, give more role play presentations if you're a copywriter or somebody in the service industry who actually does these sales calls, because it's going to pay off big in the end. And just doing this will lead to you having plenty of success in the future, which leads me to the next big thing I learned in communication, which is the fancier you try to sound, the dumber you look. Nobody ever lost a deal because the person on the other end was thinking, man, I just understand this too well. This is just too easy for me to understand. I don't think I can do this deal. The best in the game don't have to increase their complexity just to try to sound smart. Instead, they strip down everything that they don't need so that it's so simple a 5-year-old could understand it. This is something I really had to hone in on and master in my copywriting career. In case you don't exactly know what copywriting is, essentially it is the art of using words to sell things. So whenever you see ads, whenever you see text messages that are from businesses trying to get you to buy something, whenever you get marketing or promotion emails, those are all written by copywriters. And the goal of copywriters isn't to sound super smart or to impress people with your huge vocabulary. Instead, it's to create a consumable message that when people read, it actually inspires them to take action. And most beginner copywriters think that it's all about using this fancy jargon or sounding smart. And what people end up doing is they start to talk as if they're trying to reach a word count on their English essay. You ever have to do that? Oh man, back in 1972, it was 72 years after the year 1900, and it was 27 years before the year 2000. It's like they just add in words in order to try to somehow make people buy just by adding in a whole bunch of fluff. But this is in fact the opposite of what you want to do. Another quick story, I was writing an email for my business coach client. Now he was making multiple 7 figures. I think his business was doing around $4 or $5 million per year. And I wrote him this one email that was one of the best performing pieces of copy I ever wrote. And the funny thing about that piece of copy is that all I did was I spoke to one of the customers and looked at people's feedback forms, and I essentially just put what all of the customers were saying inside of one email. Then I created it, added a little bit of my own copywriting flair. I sent it out, and that email made absolute bank. It made over 35K, and I actually made a whole video on this one email and how I used it. But this one email was so stupidly simple, and that's exactly why it worked. So just like in communication, anyone can make something complex, but true skill is taking something complex and explaining it in a way that sounds simple. And also, speaking of copywriting and communication, comes the third skill that I actually leveraged to reach my millionaire status at 24, and that is high income skills. In my case, copywriting and marketing. Now, I chose copywriting and marketing because essentially they are the signs of persuasion. It was Warren Buffett who said the best investment you'll ever make is the investment in yourself. And you learning marketing is essentially giving yourself a lifetime multiplier on your earning potential. Every business needs it, few people do it well, and even fewer people understand its true power. Like I've already mentioned, I've been able to write emails and sales pages that have done $10,000s and sometimes even over $100,000 just from writing. And that's when I use that words, when used correctly, can be as valuable as money in the bank. And the more I started to increase my clients' earnings, the more I started to increase my own income. And on top of that, the more high income skills I started learning, the more and more I started making. So to give you an idea, when I was working at 3 jobs, I was essentially only making around $2,000 to $3,000 per month US. That's because I was working as a construction worker / carpenter, a security guard, and I was also in the Army Reserves. Then I started copywriting, and within the same year, I was actually making over 10K per month. Fast forward just a little bit over a year after that, and I made over $100,000 per month. And now to this day, I still make consistently over 100K per month. And now, of course, you don't have to start with copywriting. It can be anything. It can be sales. It can be overall marketing or starting an agency. It can even be e-commerce. There are a ton of different business models out there, and they all work. But copywriting is for those who want to learn a foundational skill that will essentially help them learn all of the rest and make money while doing it. Plus, it's got so many other great benefits, like you don't need any college degree. Thank God, because like I said, I actually dropped out of college 3 months in. You can start with 0 experience, and the demand is endless. Every business needs copywriters. Every business has copywriters. Sometimes those copywriters leave, so they need new copywriters, and that's where you can come in. I've helped multiple people make over 10K per month with this, and their interviews are on this very channel. So if you're looking to get into a skill like copywriting, don't bother buying a course. Instead, just watch a free copywriting course here on YouTube. I have a 4-hour one and an 8-hour one as well. You can check out after this video. And if you're looking to learn any other high income skills, guys, just learn them on YouTube. There's no need to come out here and just start dropping money on random courses. So keep learning, take action, and of course, I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.